Welcome everybody to the last episode of the Lost Holocron podcast, Ahsoka recaps. This is not the last episode of the podcast. I want to make sure that
First I was like,
say
dang, you're not coming back.
I'm like, where are we
But
back?
it is the last episode of our Ahsoka recaps. Unfortunately, the season has ended. It has left us with a lot of goodies, a lot of things to ponder on. But before we get into that, let me bring in my panel of esteemed guests, starting with you, Trayvon. Trayvon, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. This should be fun to talk about, and the finale. I think I might have the most extreme thoughts in this panel, but it's fine. It should be fun.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I know there are some polarizing thoughts out there, so I want to understand those, and we can unpack that. But moving along, Joel, how are you today?
It was a quiet day. It started out rainy, but it was very humid.
I
now,
heard.
but it's
Yeah.
That's fair. I wish you guys get
Yeah,
the sunshine that we got
5
today.
minutes,
It was great.
it felt like.
Jamie,
Yeah, it was like right as the day was ending, so
Really?
you got to see the sun go down.
that's rough.
Like, lost your chance. Maybe
It
next
was-
time.
It was 60s and sunny all day
Oh.
today. I was in heaven. But
Yeah.
Jamie, to round us out, how are you today?
I'm doing well, I put on my Tears of the Kingdom shirt today because I was like, I'm gonna finish the game. I actually did finish the game, and it was great. I loved it.
That's good.
I got a compliment on my shirt as well. I'm like, overall,
Good
lunch
day.
was also
Look at
good.
that.
Today was a good day. Today was a good
We'll
day.
cue the Ice Cube music. We'll cue that. We'll have that going. Oh, that's awesome. Well, today is also a good day to talk about the Ahsoka finale. Like I said, it's from the jump. There was a lot that happened. Not enough for some people, but we're neither here nor there. And there are a lot of questions at the end. So
Yeah.
before we jump into everyone's thoughts, I'll just give a quick recap. Again, obviously, this is spoiler heavy. If you haven't watched the finale, definitely give it a watch. And then come back and hear what we got to say. You may agree with some of us, you may disagree with some of us. But to start the episode, Morgan, she was given Mother Townsend's sword. That way she could fight the Jedi. Obviously, she wasn't just going to be fighting Ahsoka, but she knew that Ezra and Sabine were with her. So they were supposed to be sort of the last line of defense, while at the same time, Ezra was building his new lightsaber, building spare parts from Kanan Jarrus. So I think that was you, Trayvon, that sort of had the question on where he was getting like the kyber crystals and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Apparently, in reading the synopsis, all of these are spare parts from Kanan. I didn't know that. I just assumed they were spare parts that they had from whoever. So hopefully that makes you feel a little better about that.
I understood the spare parts, but not the kyber crystal. So, but
Well,
it's fine.
Okay, that's
You
fair.
know.
That's fair.
Fine.
That's fair.
Suspend belief. It's fine.
I mean, it happens. It happens. During that, obviously the two TIE fighters, they come and they attack, and Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra, they all have to go on foot because the Chimera gets taken out. Not the Chimera, I'm sorry. The Chimera is Thrawn's ship. So their ship gets taken out. So they're on their way to Thrawn's ship. That's
You didn't have to. I wouldn't have known. I was like, oh yeah.
no,
Chimera.
because I don't want someone to comment like, you are wrong.
Technically, they took it out themselves, but it's fine. Yep. Same thing.
It was already being shot.
I mean, it went out with a bang. How about that?
It did
went
go
out
with a bang. It took somebody out. That's all it needed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once they get to the Eye of Sion, or sort of that tower that it's docked at, that's where they're confronted by Morgan and the Night Troopers. They take out the Night Troopers. Then we get zombies because the Great Mothers, they reanimate the Night Troopers. And now we get it sort of into a horror aspect of it, which I think was great for them to do this during the start of October. It felt very on brand. So once they do that, Ahsoka, she stops. She's going to fight Elsbeth to the death. They have their fight. I don't know how you guys like the fight. I know that was very polarizing. We'll definitely get into it. And then before they can all get onto the ship, the Eye of Sion jumps into hyperspace. They're gone. Ezra makes it on. Ahsoka and Sabine are left on the planet. We know that Shin, she's like a leader of a bandit group, whatever you want to call it. Balin, he's looking for the great beyond. He's trying to find this hidden power. We see him at the foot of a statue. It's great. but then the story ends and we're sort of left with a lot of questions. And I think
It
that's
doesn't
sort of
end
the
there.
say it again.
It doesn't end there.
Fair. Fair.
But it's fine. We'll get there.
We will get there, obviously. So we're still left with a lot of questions from that aspect. Before it fully ends, Ezra and Hera get their reunion.
Mm.
We see Ahsoka, Huyang, Sabine. They're all living with the Notis. Anakin's Force Ghost is watching over them. That's pretty much the ending. Is that what you want? You wanted me to jump into that?
Did she talk about the Ezra part? That's all. Let's don't forget the Ezra part.
I was
Snake.
going to you first to ask about Snake. Whoa, this is
Don't
perfect.
trust him.
This is perfect. Trayvon, I want to hear your thoughts on not only the episode but its place in the season overall. So let's hear that.
Ooh, its place in the season. Ooh, It's fun to see them all fight together. So I guess I would put most of the fighting as in the best of the season. There was a few moments in here that was like, y'all could do better. But it's fine. Like her twirling those sabers around, it's kind of sound stagey, but it's fine. This is good. We like Ahsoka, we like the fighting, we like lightsabers, sure. Yeah, I don't know. The fight so when they gave Morgan the sword, I forgot what it's called, but they gave her that saber.
Mother Talzin's sword.
Okay. When they gave her Mother Talzin's
sword, however they're pronouncing it, whatever.
It's like they imbued her with, powers.
Yeah.
And gave her a sword. And,
Yeah.
But it seemed like all she got was the sword and no other abilities. That's all she did was fight with a sword. I didn't see her do anything else.
She was reanimating some of the night troopers as they were falling. She was defending them.
I don't think she did that.
After the first group, when they reanimated them, when they would get taken out again and sort of command them in, she was sort of commanding them to attack and everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll go with that. So they were fighting, and Sabine has the idea of a super force jump. Yeah,
because she's saying jump and then I'll push you.
He got up there, and she took too long to figure out if she wanted to help us, like let Ahsoka die again, or go out there with Ezra. Took a little while. Not gonna say how like she made the choice right away because she did not. She really hesitated real hard. And I was like, also, you finally went and saved. That's nice. Hope Ahsoka notices that it took you 5 minutes, but she came over there to help me. She over there to save her. Yay, happy for her. Ezra got on the ship, and Thrawn's like, "Oh, I left you guys. Yay." I can't look. The episode was fine. I just can't get over Ezra, getting on the ship and then all of a sudden having his own fleet of ships to go to see Hera. And I'm like, it was a little shady. I don't know how you did all that. How are you able to do all that?
I think you just stole a ship off of Thrawn's ship.
I think he only stole the one.
He put on the stormtrooper outfit and everything.
Yeah, no. Still don't trust him. I don't think Hera, like, they should have learned their lesson from the first episode where you letting on people like, oh, there's a Jedi, let's let them on, then they kill you.
I think it's
let's see what Ezra does.
They came immediately and were like, all right, whoever this is, we're landing, we're shooting at. Then they hesitated forever. I mean, you would have thought shoot first, no questions asked, but whatever. Then when they see that it's Ezra, that's the difference. It's not like it was just some random, we knew it was some random Jedi. It was like, we saw that it's Ezra. And we've seen how big of an emotional tie he is to that group throughout the entire series. So it makes sense for them to sort of hope for the best seeing him again, because it's like, oh crap, the mission was done. The mission was completed successfully, because at the time I don't know if they just probably assumed that Ahsoka and Sabine were on the ship. But in their eyes, when she's seeing him, she's like, this is the happy ending we were hoping for. Mm-hmm. They don't know for sure that Thrawn's back yet, because he didn't say anything. He just, hi. So it's looking for them as like, everything that we fought for, everything that we struggled for, as of right now, it worked out.
Okay. And I just thought about it. Like, we also had Chopper, the little droid, like Astro droid, roll up to him, and we were all kind of thinking, like, is Chopper like first line of defense? Like, why is he going up to him?
Right.
But like, now that I think about it, maybe. And again, because of Rebels, I don't know if this is like a good theory or not. But maybe Chopper and Ezra have some kind of like relationship, like they're
Oh, I
buddies or
mean,
whatever. And so he rolled up to him because he knew it was him
well,
somehow.
yes,
But
yes.
yeah.
Chopper loves all of them, so he would have rolled up on any of them. Yes, but
Right. So maybe that's why they're also
he's
became
not a
super
good judge of
hesitant to
character,
shoot.
though. He don't know his intentions. He don't know if he's evil or not. He
Okay,
just
I mean
knows this
you
Ezra.
can say
That's it.
that, but like, so if I saw you somewhere, Trayvon, like I would approach you because like, oh, that's my friend. Like, even though I don't know what
I've
time you're
been
on,
gone
like
for
it might
10
just
years,
happen
or
to
however
you.
long he been gone. You
We
don't
don't.
know what I've been
I don't know
doing.
if we ever
Even
got an
then, I'm not
explicit.
gonna assume you became a bad guy while you were gone.
I don't know. I disappeared with Thrawn for however many years. I would assume. I'm
But
just I don't
it's
know.
more so the excitement that you made it back. We haven't seen you in forever.
Yes,
It's
yes.
that's over. That's, I guess,
That can
beating
backfire
out
as
the.
well.
It can, and
Yeah,
it can.
yeah.
But I think the happiness of seeing your friend return overwhelms the, I guess, caution that you're taking from that. Like your sort of your
Mhm.
emotions sort of play a trick on you. So
I get. I
that's
get.
that. I'm sorry to cut in on in your
No,
sort of
I
your
get
recap.
it. No, I get it. I mean, I get the idea. I guess I'm just a different type of person.
That's fair, and we are all
I'll be
different.
I
like,
respect it.
hold up, where you been? What you been doing? Where's
That's
Sabine and
fair.
Ahsoka at? Like, I would
Well,
ask some questions before
did
you
she
run up on me.
ask? I thought she asked at the end.
No, I
I
don't remember
don't
asking
know.
nothing. He just,
He said,
oh,
"Hey."
Ezra.
She
Oh,
said Ezra. She said
no.
he said, "Hey,"
Mm-mm.
and I thought he.
Why you
I
in a
could be wrong.
stormtrooper outfit? I got questions. I got
Well,
questions
I
for
mean
you.
that's all like exposition stuff that they wouldn't have shown anyway. But
Right.
I
Yeah.
feel
That's
like she might have asked like where Ahsoka and
I
Sabine
I
were,
thought
but
so. That'd be kind of interesting for her to not. Like maybe we just didn't get his
yeah.
answer or something, or like whatever. But wait, Trayvon, first before I go on, were you still?
I'm done. I mean, the show's cool. Yeah, it's whatever.
I don't want to cut you off if you still have more, even if it is
I
very
don't
critical.
have much. I mean, like I said, the fighting was cool, but I just felt like Morgan got turned into a full Night Sister for nothing. You could just gave her a sword and that was it. Why you do all this dramatics? Her eyes turned black and everything else. Like they did all this like she about to be a badass. All you had was a sword.
Mhm.
I just saw her.
Yeah,
That's all I
you're kind of
saw.
right.
Like I didn't see anything else. Nothing cool. Like I don't know, she about to be, twirling them around with the bench. I don't know, just something. I want a little bit more than just her fighting with a sword. You could have did that
Mhm.
before you get turned into a Night Sister or whatever. So I don't know. I just wanted a little. I wanted more. Just wanted more, and I just think it was. I don't know. I hated they got left on that planet.
Mm-hmm.
I hated that. I was like, I just don't like they had get stuck here. Like I was like, okay, now we're gonna take all this time to figure out how to get them back from there. I don't know. I just feel like a waste of an ending for me. I don't know. That's how I felt.
That's
They're
fair. I
not
mean,
together. They're still not together after all this time, all this fight, all this shit. Now you really split up for real, for real. Like not even just planet. You are super separated. I'm like, okay.
So, did you have like a different idea of what you would have liked to have happened? Like we know you talked about your like kind of messy ending, but was
right.
was that like your like you really wanted that, or was there something else?
I mean, I'll never get over the Ahsoka forgiving too easy for me. She should be a little more jaded at this point. I feel like, so I'll be a little bit mad. But that's me. Like I said, it's how I think. It's how I would be mad that
Right.
you left me for dead. That's just how I feel. Um, just like I said, don't give me these powers. That's all. That's it. Like, if I had these powers, it'd be a whole different damn show. Let me tell you. But that's it. Yeah, that's
That's
all I got.
fair. And I think to that aspect, the way that they're characterizing Ahsoka, she very much seems like she's supposed to be sort of the light of the force, or like in the face of all of the darkness, she can always find the light. Even when she was looking at her legacy as Anakin's apprentice and how it was supposed to be a legacy of death and destruction, well, she still turned it into basically finding the light in that, and that just because that's his legacy, that doesn't necessarily have to be her. So I I
Yeah.
fully, like I said last episode, she's fully in her zen moment.
Mhm.
um and I think it is almost tough to rationalize that with human emotion. So I can fully understand someone saying that oh, that's not how I would do it. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I probably wouldn't either. But just knowing the way that they're characterizing her, I can understand the motives that they were going for there and why she made that decision. So that's why
Yeah.
I guess personally, that's why I wasn't upset with it. If these were just regular everyday people, I'm right along with you. If this happened to Jamie and Joelle coming back like, oh Jamie, I'm so glad you made it through. Yeah, we side eyed and Joelle the entire time. I get that. I fully get that, but that's because we're not, I don't know, magic wielding space people. So
Yeah.
I
I
just
think Ahsoka also does talk about or talk to Sabine in this episode where Sabine is like, I don't get it. Like, why aren't you mad?
yeah,
Because she's kind of like you, Trayvon, like expecting Ahsoka would probably be mad too. And she's like, you know what? I made some mistakes as a Padawan where people would probably be mad at me. And like, I kind of understand where you're coming from. So it's like, do I wish things turned out differently? Like, yeah, I do. But I can't be mad that you made a decision that you thought was like the best for the situation.
right. That was definitely the other part. I almost forgot about that. And like, she talked about all the mistakes that she made and how Anakin always stood by her. So that was something that also really impacted her, was that she felt like no matter how grave or how dangerous the mistake was, her master stood by her. So she's like, I have to do the same. It
did she leave Anakin for dead though?
I mean, she did a lot of
Probably
stuff.
not.
She did a lot of stuff.
Or did she leave him for dead? Would she
I
have
mean,
checked over that cliff? Would she have checked?
it
She
depends.
would have checked.
It
She would have
depends.
checked.
It
She would have tried.
depends.
She would have pinched him. She would have did something.
It depends. Some situations she might not have.
No, she would try.
Sabine had
Slash him a
no
little bit.
powers at the time. Like, that's my thing.
Yeah. So actually, with that, Joel, let's go into your thoughts. I know Trayvon, you said you were done after that.
I'm done.
Let's go into your thoughts of the episode and, like I said, the series overall. Obviously, we'll all jump in and chime in. I like the way that this conversation is
Oh, I
going.
thought it was a good finale. Overall, it probably was not. I expected maybe a little bit more out of it, but it always felt it just like most shows these days are kind of like a part of a whole. So I don't get too mad at these things because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it has to finish here, but not anymore. You know what I mean? There's always more later. I know, like most people have to has to finish that up. Like to do a show, you should do it like where it never has to have another season. But that's not how things work these days with a lot of these shows. Like you want to come back, you have to leave open threads.
Unfortunately.
You can't close them all. It's just a lot of that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just how we do TV now, and a lot of storytelling is done that way through with the universes, especially we got Marvel now, DC, and Star Wars. And we know this is one of those shows leading up to a big movie. So this is just another thread. Like, do we get another season of Ahsoka? Does any of this get touched upon in The Mandalorian or any other show for that matter? We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of wait and see. A lot of wait and see. That's what we say all the time. Wait and see. But that's part of the game, right? The fact that we get so much and so many at this time compared to where we were before, it's still a blessing. Because like shit, man, I don't think we understand how much shit we get these days compared to like when we were younger. It's like it's crazy.
That is very true. Yeah, and I think to your point on everything needing to sort of keep some loose threads open. I will say I think that's where this finale falls the flattest for me. I think it left too many threads open. Like Trayvon said, it does suck that they are still stuck on that planet. Like, we don't know what Shin's going to be doing. We don't know what Balin's doing. We know he's at the statue of the Mortis gods, but
right.
what does that mean for him? And there's a whole other level of that because unfortunately, rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. We don't know if they're going to try to touch that, if they're going to recast, but there's sort of a shadow of even more mystery. And granted, obviously there was nothing they can do when they were writing it, when they were even filming it, but it's one of those things where, for me, I'm right along with you. That is the way TV is nowadays. There always does have to be a thread left undone because I think they say like you have to show that you have to leave the audience wanting more so that way they can go to the network and say, hey, you better have more. Yeah,
this is
right.
Star Wars. This is Star
That's
Wars.
why they could get away with it too.
Not necessarily. but even then, not necessarily. I mean, think about how many Star Wars projects have been canceled, have been
Yeah.
stuck in developmental hell. It's that at the end of the day, every one of these things
Hmm.
still has to sort of play the game. But
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you in the fact that you could have still closed up something.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like we went through too much of a journey because, like you were saying, at the end of the day, we are still basically where we started. The group's not together, except now there's the added threat
Yeah,
that Thrawn's in the
switch
universe at
places is all they
large.
do.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's one of those things where, like I said, I enjoyed the finale. I enjoyed the series very much, but there is always still that inkling of like, man, you could
Mm,
have did a little bit more. You could have landed it a little
mm,
bit better than you landed it. It was an
Mm-hmm.
okay
right,
landing, but
right.
it could have been a great one.
It did. It felt very open
Mm-hmm.
ended, too open ended. And again, not that it was a bad
Hmm.
episode. I think it was a great episode. I just don't know if it was a great ending to a season.
Yeah, right.
Overall, I felt like, oh, when's the next one? That's the problem.
Yes, this very much
Mm-hmm.
felt like it could
You
have been
know,
an episode, another
and
Yeah.
again, that's
episode.
not saying that it was a bad
Mm-hmm.
episode. It was a good episode, but for an ending, a finale, just like the penultimate was like that wasn't the best
Right.
setup for the finale. So you're like, all right, so good episodes, but like
Yeah.
it's just like if you could tell they were there, they knew they were coming back for season two. That's how confident they were. You know,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. I feel like, we were talking about this, I think maybe at the end of episode 3 or 4, just sort of figuring out sort of where the timeline goes from here. I think this throws what we were saying then off the top of his head because we were so sure that it was going to be this finishes, Mandalorian comes out, and then
right?
it's Filoni's movie. So I don't know how you do that because you have to touch on some of these storylines, but I don't know if you can do that in the Mandalorian because the Mandalorian's next season has to be whatever you're
Hmm.
going to tell on that storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're trying to tie all of this in a movie, either that movie needs to be 2 or 3, like a trilogy or a duology, or that movie could very much fall into the like, this is a clusterfuck.
Yeah,
And I
you don't
don't
want to
think
be
you
answering
want
too many
that.
questions in that movie. You want to end all those threads. That's kind of the point of it, right?
Right.
Did
Yeah,
we
so
know when the next season of Mandalorian is?
no, so I think because the writer strike things got muddied. I know John Favreau said that he had already started writing on it, and we heard that during right at the end of season 3.
And
So
see, this is where my problem comes from. Like, so all these, things to share that are open ended, we don't have an idea on when we'll see these characters again. Like, we know in the movie, of course, we know the movie's coming. We
sure,
don't technically know if there's going to be a Ahsoka season 2 or not. Mandalorian, who knows when? It's just a lot of like, oh, okay, well,
but I mean, to be fair, a lot of that gets
2027.
thrown in flux because there was 150-day writer strike,
Actors
and there's
strike.
a still ongoing
Yeah.
screen actor strike. So
Mm-hmm.
it's because of the strike rules the way that they fall. It was tough already to be able to announce anything because you don't have a writer, you don't know how far they are along, you don't know how long that strike was going to last. And I mean, it's unfortunately it still falls the same way.
Yeah, but when
If
did it start though? When did the strike start again?
it was 150 days, so that has to put
At
him back in
least.
like May. And
Could have told us something beforehand.
I mean, but they wait for those tentpole events. They wait
Mm.
for a
Celebration.
Star Wars Day. They wait for San Diego Comic Con. They
Hmm.
wait for a D23,
I
and
feel like it was end of June, early July when it started or something.
the Screen
Because I
It
Actors
remember,
started
started
in
for the
July.
actors. I know
I
that
remember
much.
that, but the writers. I'm pretty sure
And
started
the
in
actors,
May.
I think it was like a
I
month
think it was
Yeah, I
end
difference
of
think
between the
May.
so.
two. So June for like the actors,
Yeah.
some shit.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So it's one of those things where, like I said, right now, obviously Hollywood is going through a lot. They're going through a lot of change, hopefully for the better. But I get it. I do understand that as a fan, it's sort of it puts us in flux. You start getting impatient, um, and it can I can understand how it can cloud your judgment of what you're watching because for like you said, you want to know when you're going to see these people next. How much should you care? And when everything's in flux, you really can't. But that's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the business right now.
Oh.
I just take it at that. Jamie, I wanted to go to you with a different question. I was talking to my brother earlier about the finale, and he was telling me about how some of the people that he know who haven't watched Rebels, their lens of the season as a whole was kind of different because obviously the main through line was trying to get this Rebels team together,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not how it ended or however, but they were having trouble sort of caring because what you see of like an Ezra during the series, well, it's like, why am I supposed to care about this guy? Or what you see of a Sabine during this series, she threw away whatever, the choices that they made. So I'm curious, from your perspective, as somebody who hasn't seen it, how did that go for you? Did you also have trouble caring about some of the characters they were looking for, or did it sort of, I guess, bring you along emotionally in a good way?
Um, I think I would probably agree. The first few episodes in the season when Sabine was looking at that like hologram of Ezra, I didn't know who that was. I assumed it was Ezra, but even still, I was like, okay, like, why are we doing this right now? She did look at it a few times. Um, and then when they finally got the team together, I was happy to see like everyone was together just because it seemed like, Ahsoka really cared about this. And I've learned more about Sabine because, we've been following her as well throughout the series. So I'm like, everybody's really happy about this development. But I also, it's unfortunate that we don't get a lot of moments of them together as a team because then maybe I could start to understand their dynamic a bit more because for the most part we just got like oh man, I miss you guys, like this is great kind of thing, and not really see what they are actually like just working as a team. So it's not that I didn't care about like Sabine or Ezra or Hera. I cared a lot more about Hera's butt than anything, funny enough, but um um it's that I feel like mm, just like emotionally, they could have put a little bit more behind everything. Um, I mean, they did. Dang, what was
Yeah,
that?
somebody went crazy. Apparently, I'm sorry.
Wow.
So,
No worries.
sounds of the city.
um, I think they did a good job with Ahsoka and like letting us into how she feels about certain things, especially when she was like in between worlds and we got to see her talking with Anakin and really like just I guess kind of break down as far as like I don't want to end up like you. Like I know we can be like really similar in some ways, so I don't want to end up like you or like I take feel like that your teachings are going to put me on the same path. So I thought that was like a really beautiful story. But as far as Ahsoka's relationship to Sabine, I feel like she became her Padawan just cause kind of like we got like maybe a few scenes where we saw Ahsoka training Sabine and like trying to give her advice. But honestly, if I had skipped that episode where she became her Padawan, or like the last few minutes of that episode where she said like you're my Padawan now, and like the training scene, like I would have just considered them just friends. Like they met somewhere in the galaxy and now they're together. They have maybe more of like a older sister younger sister relationship just based on the age, but I don't really see them as like a Jedi and Padawan. And then with
Jedawan. That's funny. Thrown together.
Jedawan,
Jedawan.
almost. Um, and then I don't um like I don't know. Ezra is kind of just in the picture. He's kind of
Sure.
like the photo bomber, like he's there, but it's not like I'm not looking at the photo for him, even though he is very attractive, but I'm not looking at the photo for him. Like, uh, I would say Ahsoka and Sabine definitely take the cake for this one, but as far as just I don't know if they were very serviceable to just the idea of like having this rebels group and like all the ties and stuff. I think it was more so they pulled through a lot of the lore that I wasn't familiar with. And like, oh, okay, like
Mm.
this is interesting.
Hmm.
Thrawn is an interesting villain and all of that. But as far as just focusing on that core group, I think that's something that they could have done a lot more. And it sucks because it's like, they weren't together for a lot of this, so it would have been hard to try to do that.
Sure.
But then to separate them at the end again, for like you said, like they left a lot of doors open there. I don't know that that needed to happen. But overall, I enjoy the series. I did care about a lot of the characters. I kind of the way that you guys are attached to Balin, I don't really feel the same way. I think he
Okay.
is an interesting character, and I also think that the actor that portrayed him did a really great job. But as far as like my interest in where he goes next, like I very frequently forget that, like, oh yeah, Balin, he's in this somewhere. Like he's supposed to be doing something, and I don't know
Fair.
if that's like a fault of the storytelling or a fault of like something with Balin that might just not be clicking with me. And then Shin, like I remember that she's there because she's kind of like she's giving me vibes of like, oh, I gotta keep my eye on this one, Like you know how you walk into a place and like you see somebody, you're just like, I know they ain't right, so you just keep your eye on them. That's the only reason I really remember her is because like, yeah,
Okay.
she just looks like trouble. Like she's gonna. I'm kind of surprised she didn't I feel like she was more influential in the beginning of the series than she was towards the end. Like she kind of just had more of a background role, even with her interacting with what sounded like Tusken Raiders, even though I don't think they were Tusken Raiders, but what sounded like those Raider people. Like what I don't even know
Bandits.
what that was
Yeah.
about. So
Yeah, those are the bandits. Remember the ones that obviously not the same ones. I think they killed those ones, but the bandits that showed up when Sabine was first going to look for Ezra. So
yeah.
it was just another group of them. We have nothing else
Yeah.
about them
Yeah.
other than that, really.
I don't know. It was I wish we could have learn more about them, I guess. Like even in thinking about like the Mandalorian and like the challenges that they face. Granted, last season of Mandalorian was more so about like him and Grogu like building this father son relationship. But usually they're like villain of the day, or I guess like overarching villain. I kind of understand like why they're the villain, why they
Sure.
are in the situation that they are, like why they're like in the way of Mando reaching his goal. And for this, it's kind of just like they after they were both competing to get like the orb that I keep thinking of is like the apple of Eden because it looks so similar in
It does.
design.
It's fair.
But after they competed to get the orb and Ahsoka's team lost, after that it was like they felt very detached to me. And I think Thrawn really helped like bring that presence back. Like, no, there is like kind of a threat here that you do need to pay attention to. Um, but I think we needed to get more of him for me to feel like oh yeah, there was a solid villain just like throughout
Mm.
the series the whole time, because there was a lot of talks of him, but I'm big on like if you're a threat, like show me you're a threat.
Sure.
They talked about it, but we didn't really get to see like him in action as far as like how threatening he can be until like the last few episodes of the season. So overall, I like this season. It's not my favorite Star Wars show, but I really like Ahsoka as a character, and she went in a lot of places I wasn't expecting her to go. So I wish this season did end a bit differently, but just knowing that there is going to be more,
Right.
they had the potential to, I think, make some improvements.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
I can definitely understand that.
yeah. The other thing, this is the last thing I'll say because I feel
Sure.
like I've been talking for so long, but
Yeah, you've been talking. You've been talking a perfectly normal amount.
the lightsaber fighting in this episode, it kind of left me wanting a little bit, like what Joel was saying. I feel like the best fights that we got were towards the beginning of the series, which I don't hate. Like, if somebody's gonna start something for the first time and you need to like convince them to invest more time into it, it makes sense to have like some of your best stuff towards the beginning. But I also feel like you should close out strong. And a lot of these Disney Plus shows, like what I was saying in a previous episode, I feel like either they start really strong and they end kind of meh, or the beginning is like whatever, but the ending is strong, and so they just can't seem to have both a strong start and a strong finish. So I was a little bit disappointed by that as well.
That's fair. That actually leads me perfectly into my next question. Obviously by now we've all reviewed a number of series together. Especially a number of Disney Plus series together. And I just off of my memory, and please correct me if I'm wrong if it doesn't apply for one of you guys, has been that it always feels like there's either not enough time or they had to rush towards the end. So now we're just looking overall. Do you think that 6 to 8 episode format is what's limiting these Disney Plus shows?
Oh.
Do you think that Jamie's already didn't hear the whole question? Already no. And do you think that going to like a 10 to 12 episode, I think a lot of
Now,
Netflixes are 10. But going to something like but going to something like that, do you think that that would sort of bring up the quality and sort of allow for more interesting storytelling? Trayvon, we'll start with you.
Um, hmm. I'm not sure. Let's go to somebody else really quick and come back
Sure,
to me.
sure. Jamie,
Then
you
we think
want
about
you
it.
want to you're already shaking your head, so we can go right back to you. Hear you talk a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely think it would help with the storytelling because I do think that they face a lot of pacing issues. A lot of, especially towards the beginning of like the Disney Plus television show phase,
Sure.
there were a lot of pacing issues. And I feel like this show didn't suffer as much as previous shows did, so there has been improvements, but yeah, the way that they ended this, clearly they needed some more time to develop this story and close some more of those doors and tie off those threads. So I think having more episodes, hopefully they would use that to like continue to push the story a little bit in whatever ways that the show needs. I feel like this show in particular, it just needed more story.
Sure, sure.
But some other shows where the pacing gets kind of off and they're just kind of rushing, it would give them more time to like really explain things and make sure that we understand different character relationships, what the situation is, all of that kind of stuff. So I definitely would not be mad at a like 10 or 12 episode Disney Plus show, and I think it could really only help. I'm sure people that create the budgets would not love that, but
Fair.
I really feel like it would only help.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would agree with you. Joel, obviously I'm going to bring the same question to you, but I think of the four of us here, you and I might have been the only two who
really?
watched Andor.
Oh, I watched Andor.
Oh, you did watch
It
it.
was
Okay, I'm
good.
sorry. I'm
It was the
sorry.
best Star Wars show, probably. Yeah.
So, obviously Andor, it was praised for its story, but at a lot of times it was also told that it was moving too slow. And Andor
Yeah.
is a show that was 12 episodes.
hmm
So, Joel, I want to take that to you. Using Andor as an example, can 12 be too much? Like, we have an example of it that moved very slow, or do you think that that was sort of because it was a spy
Oh,
show?
sorry.
No, no worries. It's
Has been.
been a long day.
I personally think most shows should just be as long as the story needs, like for that season. Like I don't like being
Sure.
constricted to, all right, you need to be 6 episodes or you need to be 10 episodes. If you can finish it in three, do it in three. You know, what I mean? If you can do it, I'm not saying I
Let's
want
not get
that,
too let's not
but
get
if it
too
helps for the show's sake, if they can finish it when they want to, do it. I don't
sure.
you don't want filler. Everyone loves complaining about filler, so just cut out filler. Or if you feel
Yeah.
like you need more time, add more episodes. Like I know they're in a budget, but they should be all right. You have a max of
Mhm.
10. Don't go over, or stay under. You don't have to go super under. We need at least three. You know what I mean? There's stuff like that. But I think that's what happens. Sometimes you get stuck with I need to fit this story into this, and I don't have enough episodes, or I don't have enough episodes to tell everything. And we have no promise for a second season, so it kind of gets crammed into one season, and stuff like this happens. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened with Ahsoka. I just feel like they were comfortable enough
No,
to
no.
leave a lot of shit open because we knew they were coming back. It was like, and like it's a show that
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of history behind it. There's a lot of nostalgia that plays a factor in Ahsoka. Like you're going into it with a lot of predetermined history. If you watch Rebels, if you don't, you're going in kind of blind. And I don't know how that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from Jamie, I'm
Mhm.
not sure who else hasn't watched it. And I know it may have left people in the dark.
So there are a couple of people that I know, not including Jamie, who haven't, and it's weird because
Yeah,
it's mixed. I've had
yeah,
to like, man, this has been amazing. I've had some people who are just like, I don't understand what's going on, and I hate it. Why did they make me have to? Why do I have to go back to this? And it's an interesting thing, and I didn't mean for this to just only be tied to Ahsoka. I'm more so just curious about the overall
hmm
Disney Plus slate as a whole. Like I said, we've talked about many a shows, but it does always seem like one of our overarching themes, and myself included, is that we're like, man, if only it could have told a little bit more, or if only it
right,
didn't rush such and such. Like, you know, I think bringing the most recent example, Secret Invasion as a whole, that maybe could have worked for if it would have had 3 or 4 more episodes to sort of tell a more complete story rather than being constrained.
yeah,
There
I
were
think,
what,
I think so.
6, and you didn't really start getting anything until like episode 5. So I'm just wondering now if that Disney formula that they seem so stuck with, is it starting to show more of its cracks than even
Yeah.
the ones that we saw
Because they do
early?
6 for like long form storytelling, but that those are like 48-minute shows that are like
Yeah.
35, but and then the half hour ones
Right.
are like 25, 20 minutes. Like they're not really, you know what I mean? But,
Right, right.
and it's like, all right, those are the 8 to 9 episode ones, and you have the 6 episode hour long hour. So it's like, and they've been screwing with us for a while because I remember when they said that, all right, well, the 6 episode ones are gonna be an hour long, and we know that's not true.
And it's always been 48
35 to
minutes, or and that 48 of that 48, that's like
yeah,
really 37
yeah,
because you got 10
it's
minutes of
all
opener
lies.
and,
It's
and
all because you
closer.
like 10 minutes of credits. It feels like
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, well, that's a lot of credits. um,
Right, right. Not even, and they're not even throwing in
right,
end credit
and like
scenes or mid
and
credit
we do
scenes or
get those
anything.
too,
All right.
which is always nice. That's all. No, we don't. Not
Not very
often as y'all
often.
would probably would want or expect. Like Ahsoka didn't have that,
No.
so you're
Yeah.
like,
No,
No,
none of
not
the
at all.
episodes did.
None
But
of
to
them.
be fair, I don't think a lot of I think Mando might be the only one, because I don't remember any
I
in
don't
like
think so.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, I don't
And I don't
no.
remember any in Andor
Andor,
either.
Andor probably
Oh
not.
yeah.
Book of
Andor
Boba
was
Fett
12
maybe
episodes. You didn't
maybe
need a
did, but
post
I
credit scene. There's like one more season, and
that
that's
is
gonna
true.
be like
That's
12 or
fair.
whatever, and that's gonna end it off with on Rogue
Yeah.
One. uh,
Yeah, I think the last scene of that, it's supposed to lead you directly
nice.
into the first scene of Rogue One. Granted, that's what I remember them saying when the series was like
Yeah.
pre-production. That could have changed by now.
Hmm.
Trayvon, are you back? I know you had to step away for a second.
Yes,
Um,
I'm here now.
so same question applies to you. Just for a refresher, we were talking about sort of the 6 to 8 episode plan that Disney Plus seems to have for all of their shows, and whether or not adding, like I said, 3 or 4, bringing it to like an 8 to 10, or do you think that that would just jump the quality overall? Not Ahsoka specifically, but just sort of, even if you wanted to look at it in terms of their Star Wars shows and their Marvel shows, um, do you think more episodes will equate to a better story? Essentially,
I think it depends on which project we're talking about.
sure.
I mean, for the Marvel ones, it just the mandate of 6, and that's it. Like there hasn't been like except for like I think What If, but everything else has been pretty
Yeah.
Was
much.
What If more than
And
6?
Yeah.
WandaVision.
Is that at least
No, it was more
One
than that. It
9?
was more than that. I thought it was more than 6, right? Yeah, yeah, it was more than
was
that. But
there
WandaVision was the only other change, I believe, and that's because that was
WandaVision
like
and
sitcom
She-Hulk were both
timing.
more than 6.
Wanda?
Um, oh, I forgot
Yeah.
about She-Hulk.
Yeah,
But anyway,
Oh, not too much.
but but yeah, but the Disney shows using the 6 episode thing. I get what they were trying to do. They were like, a movie, cut it up. That's it. That's all we're getting. Like, I guess
So I
pretty
guess
much.
that's
I
the
don't
thing that confuses me the most about all of these shows, is that we were essentially told that these are going to feel like a movie
know. Yeah.
split into 6 parts or 8 parts.
Yeah.
If we put all of these together, like I'm not going to do the math for Ahsoka right now, but let's say each of these 8 episodes ran for an average of 30 minutes.
Hmm.
We're looking at 4 hours. And we've seen 2-hour movies that can tell a story that we're like, we are happy with this at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that I think always confuses me the most with these is that if we've seen it in a movie that I know it has to, let's say max 3 hours, and I'm crying at that. So let's go 2.5. If you can tell a story that way, why are you not able to split that into like a 6 episode series and
Maybe,
basically tell that story?
maybe I don't know. Maybe they aren't using. I don't know. Maybe not using the budget the way they should be. I don't know. Like if you spread out too far, that stretch the budgets out. Maybe they're like the budget is only for a
For a
movie of
movie?
that
Yeah.
of 2.5 hours, and you have to stretch it out to this 6 episode, 8 episode, whatever it is, and you can kind of feel it sometimes
Mm-hmm.
on some of these, shows and stuff, which kind of sucks as well. I don't know. You would think that it's weird because you have the people like Filoni behind it and stuff like that, so you feel like he should be able to do it. He should be able to figure it out or make it work, whatever it is, because his characters, really that we're ultimately using right now, at least for the forefront.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
No, and I don't think I didn't expect any of us here to have the answer.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
it was just it's one of those things, and not even like I said, just to pick on Star Wars or just to pick on Marvel. I feel that way about a lot of stuff. Like if we're talking Game of Thrones seasons, or if we're talking House of the Dragon, a lot of the stuff. I just sometimes with TV, when I think about how slow TV could be in general at times, I'm just really confused because you'll have a lot of talented writers, you'll have so much talent, but it feels like at times TV wants to sort of play the game of, well, we're cinematic, we're the big screen on the little screen, but at times it's like, well, we drop the ball because we're trying to do too much exposition here. We
Mhm.
don't want to tighten this up enough.
I mean, even like I can guess I'll go back to the Netflix Marvel shows. Sometimes
Yeah.
they felt too long.
Yeah.
Like they had 13 episodes, and I was like, some of these like we have a random episode of nothing. I'm like, well, what? Like, why did you use this for this? Like, it's just a waste of time. Like, I don't know. I don't know. These shows don't have. I don't. There's no like overarching person that's like controlling it all. I guess to give them all the budget they want and let them do
Sure.
everything they want. It's just I don't know. It's just a lot of confusion every time we get these shows. Like, oh, maybe this one will turn out right. Oh wait, we just had a filler episode. Woo! Like I don't know. Even when you shouldn't, like fill it
Yeah.
up. Make sure use this episode to your best. I don't know.
No one else saw Joel. Apparently,
Oh,
it's not
so
code enough for him. Just
yeah.
beep. I heard.
So
I heard
No,
the
yeah. I
beep.
it was
heard
hot.
it.
It's getting hot in here.
Um,
I thought he'll turn on the PlayStation. To be honest,
Oh,
that's
that's
what that
doesn't
fair.
was.
sound
I
like
saw
it.
That's what I
him
thought
look
it was.
around first before he did it, so I felt like that was like, man, it is hot. But no, yeah, like I said, that was, and obviously we got way far from the episode. I was just sort of curious about that. To bring us back in, and obviously to round us out for the episode. Jamie, you already kind of talked about it a bit of what's your favorite Star Wars series. And Andor was your number one. Where does Ahsoka rank for you throughout? We've had
Ooh.
just to remind you, we've had 5. We're gonna go to the live action ones. We've had The Mandalorian, all 3 seasons, Book of Boba Fett, Obi
Ooh.
Wan, Andor, and then now Ahsoka. So those would be the 5. And I'm just curious, where does it rank for you guys in terms of obviously the 5?
It's kind of difficult because even with Mando, especially first season, great. Second season, ugh. Third season, okay. So
Okay.
it's like I can't even like I don't want those seasons to bring the ranking down.
I
I have
mean,
to
but
judge it as one
that's what
show.
you have to do it. I mean, they had
Yeah.
the most complete body of work to bring some NCAA terms into it. Who has the best body of work? And if they gave you more chances to fail, unfortunately, they did.
Yeah. So number one, Andor. Number two, we have you said Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian,
Obi Wan, and then
Ahsoka, Obi Wan.
yeah,
Oh my god. Yeah. So it would probably go Andor, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett.
Okay.
I think
Joel, you
it's
got yours? Let me actually wait. Let me write that down. I'm gonna write this in so that way I can make a graphic with this. Andor. Oh, I'm just typing it in there.
No, yeah. It was Andor, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett.
Okay. And oh wait, Joel, how about you? Are you around the same? I know
yeah.
it sounds
I'm
like
not
that's what
that
you were
different.
about to
I think
say.
I'm pretty much the same. I think I have Andor first, and I think I got Mando two. All who was three? Yeah, Ahsoka
She has
three, and
Ahsoka
then
3.
four I would say Obi Wan, and five was Boba. The only difference I think between me and James is I actually enjoyed all five of them. So I was like, Boba.
I enjoyed aspects
Yeah,
of all five, but through and
yeah.
through,
I
that's a different
really did.
story.
Like I really like Mando. I mean Boba, Book of Boba. I really like the Book of Boba. Probably not as much as the others.
Oh, thanks, Trayvon. All right, and could you go ahead and say that for the people who are listening or watching? I appreciate you throwing that to me. You're muted.
Sorry. All right. I was saying nobody attacked me. All right. So
I'm actually
Mando's
shocked at your
first.
list.
Ahsoka's next. Obi Wan. Andor, because to me, I'm not gonna lie to you, I ain't finished watching it. Boring.
Oh,
Sorry,
I
boring.
knew
Too
that's what he
Trayvon.
boring.
meant when he said
So
"Don't
boring.
attack me." I
So
knew
boring.
that's what he
Oh
meant.
no.
Andor was
And
quality television.
Boba.
Andor
Yeah.
was quality.
It definitely was. I can understand why you didn't finish it because at the beginning I was like, I don't know about
It's
this.
slow. It's
It is
very
a
slow.
very slow burn, but once you get there, it's like, oh man, I
So,
can't wait for the next
good acting.
episode. So,
I remember complaining every week about how slow it was,
hmm
but because it was that mystery thriller like spy, and it's so annoying to watch, but I always love it. It's like when it's like, just get to the point for me. So I get it. I just to round us out, I do have mine. Honestly, very similar to Jamie's. I would flip Ahsoka and Mando, so I would go Andor, Ahsoka, Mando, Obi Wan, and then Boba. Just because I did like the journey that Ahsoka went on. For me, I felt it was the more complete series, and very much like you said, Mando had more ways to mess up because it had more episodes, and
yeah.
it's
Not
nothing
at all.
against the series. And again, like Joel said, I enjoyed all of them. So even still, it's not like I'm like I hate one of these. It's just
Yeah,
these
that's
were a
all it
little
Yeah.
is.
better.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think we have intersected this episode in many ways. We have talked about it in so many different ways. We've said where we think it lands. I don't want to go through again and ask about where we think this is going because I felt like we've done that so many episodes, and fortunately, we don't have any answers to really change what we got. So,
Yeah.
um, I think I can speak for all of us in that we just hope we see these characters again sooner rather than later.
hmm I
Um,
need to see Hera's booty in orange, specifically
only
orange.
orange, Amy. None of that brown stuff again. You know that was wild.
Nah.
But this has been our Ahsoka recap and this episode of the Lost Holocron podcast. I will go around for the last time during these recaps to ask you where can the people find you and what would you like them to support?
You
Starting
can
with you,
find
Joel.
me on Instagram, on Twitter, right down there. See, that's my handle.
I will make sure to also have these links in the description. Trayvon, where can the people find you?
Hey, nerd with the tech everywhere except for on TikTok. It has an underscore at the end. There you go.
All right. And Jamie, to round us out, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm producing a lot of content at swiper_prime on YouTube, Twitch, and yeah, everywhere else is swiper_art. Um, but yeah, I finished Tears of the Kingdom like I was saying earlier.
Woo woo.
The finale won't come out this coming Tuesday, but the next Tuesday. So
Okay.
look forward to that. And I also want to clarify, just in case. I don't know why. I also thought about this the other day, so I kind of just want to share it with people. Like I'm a heterosexual person, so when I look at Hera, it's not like, oh, I want to get in there. But it's like, how sometimes some people are like
Hilarious. I didn't
you
know where you
know,
were going with this.
you know how some people are lactose intolerant, but they still
Get
eat
it.
cheese and ice cream and stuff. And it's just like, because it's like, oh, that looks good. Like, even though
To
I can't,
compare
it's not
booty to
like a
milk
part of
is
my diet,
funny.
but it looks good.
To compare
Noticeable.
butt to milk is
Yeah.
crazy.
That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta
And
say.
and on that note, and I am everywhere at dig_DEE. You can find the podcast everywhere at Geekset Podcast. All of our links and everything will be in the description. This has been an episode of the Lost Holocron podcast. We are out. Peace.
See
I
you
know you said we got to
guys.
find a different one, Jamie, but I'm
Oops,
just
I did it
Oh,
again.
I know.
happy.